I do that by being as honest as possible. I've had a couple people that have reached out to me asking if I could do PR services for them. One was a legal service, and I took the call, and I gave them an hour of my time of saying what I think they could do and saying I also am not the person for you. I really think honesty sets me apart because in PR, people do they will claw their way to the top. And again, I don't think that's the right way to do it. I don't think misleading anyone that I'm going to represent is the right way to do it, because if I might not be able to represent them, who's to say they can't refer me to someone that I might be able to.
Welcome to the Amani Experience Podcast. In this podcast, you will experience wisdom, advice, and stories from creatives all over the world. Your host is Amani Roberts, who is a DJ, music producer, professor, avid book reader, and developing salsa dancer. On the show, we love to share the stories of creative professionals, especially people who've gone from the corporate life to the creative life. Once again, welcome to the Amani Experience Podcast.
Welcome to episode 34 of the Amani Experience Podcast. For this show, we have Kelly Wilson with us. We have a fun conversation. Some of the things I really enjoyed about our conversation is that Kelly has a great sense of humor. She's funny. Honesty and kindness are a common theme throughout the show, so I really like that that's part of Kelly's mantra as she talks about. And then at the end, she shares a Price is Right story that is hilarious. So I really love that. I'm going to read a review right now. We have a review coming to us by Maverick D. Maverick D says, I really love the variety of guests that have been on this show. Of course, you'll always get me with yogi guests as well. I really like the vibe of the host as well. Excited to have a new show to tune into. Thank you for that review, Maverick D. Please remember to leave us a review on iTunes and a rating as well. Now, it's time to get to the show. Thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the show. I'm going to read our guest bio for today, and then we'll get to the show. Our guest today hails from the cornfields of Southern Illinois. She received her BFA in acting from DePaul University and enjoyed a career in musical theory in Chicago before moving out to LA to pursue a career on the other side of entertainment. She did her quote-unquote LA duty, an intern at a production and distribution company before becoming an independent marketing consultant. Through this consultant work, she's been able to work with the Banff World Media Festival, the Ivy Plus Society, and best of all, Stan Lee. After 3 years of consultant work, our guest officially opened Gidget PR in September of 2016 in order to combine her growing clientele under one umbrella. I'd like to welcome Kelly Wilson to the Amani Experience Podcast.
Hi.
How are we doing?
I'm good. We're doing great.
Great. So before we find out a little bit more about Stan Lee, right now we're sitting here in Manhattan Beach, California. And where's your office in California?
It's in Glendale, California. So basically another state from here.
Yes. So what another state? Just a little further north. And where did you grow up?
I grew up, like it says, the cornfields of Illinois, from O'Fallon, Illinois, which is about 20 minutes away from St. Louis.
Okay. Oh, nice. So you're really close to the Missouri border.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. I used to spend summer times in St. Louis, so I understand.
Oh,
hot,
really?
humid, the Golden Arches. Not the Golden Arches, the Arch as well. So cool.
Did you go to the City Museum?
So I was really young back then and didn't have much freedom, so I didn't go many places besides the Arch. And then they had the riverboat down there, the McDonald's that was on the riverboat there, and that was in the movies. That was pretty much it. I was a little strict back then. And then how did you end up at DePaul?
I ended up at DePaul, actually. I did the Muni, which is one of the largest outdoor theaters in the world. And when I was a teen, and one of the guys who was in the cast with me was going to DePaul, and he told me about the audition process and how hard it was, but he had so much fun. And so I remember that for the next 4 years. And actually, when I called to set up my audition time, he was the one that picked up from the office.
Nice. Okay.
So
Inside
that's how I heard
connection.
about it. Yeah, it was crazy.
All right, so you're at DePaul, and then you graduated, and then right after you graduated, you pretty much went right into acting, correct?
Yes, I went right into acting about I think 3 months after graduation, I booked Sandy in the original Grease.
All right.
And so booked that, and then that next year, I spent 6 months performing that role. It was tough.
But you got through it.
I got through it.
Yes, so 6 months there. And then once you finished there, how did you end up in California? What was the story behind that?
One of my best friends from DePaul moved out here right after college, and I spent about 3 years in Chicago, and I kind of just thought about what I wanted to do. Musical theater, I was very, very lucky with my career, but I had such stage fright when singing, and so I knew I couldn't go to New York, and my best friend was here, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to LA, and I want to get on the business side.
Nice. So you came out to L.A. Were you also kind of acting when you got out here first? Or what was your first job when you were out here in L.A.?
My first job was at a bakery that I won't even list on my resume. They had great baked goods, but they weren't necessarily supportive of actors. And so I was still acting just because that's what I knew until I can eventually get, an internship and grow.
Okay. So you did that, and then you were with Dumont Marketing Group. You work with Ivy Plus Society, and then Big Cobb Productions. That's how you pronounce it?
Big Cobb, yes.
There you go. And so you do a lot of things while still kind of focusing on your business. How do you manage your time?
I don't know. I have no idea. A lot of to-do lists.
Okay, and that keeps you busy. Okay. Now, if I recall correctly, I think I saw some footage of you doing like a Ukrainian accent or something.
Oh, no.
Yes, talk to us about the Ukrainian accent. How did that come to be?
That was a movie I did in Chicago where I played I played a stripper. And it was supposed to be funny, though.
The
whole
funny.
movie was supposed to be funny. That's why I did it. But yes, that was Ukrainian. You found my IMDb. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Well, we do our research here, so we have to kind of, have the conversation just to talk about everything that makes up you. But that was good. It was a good scene. It was good.
It was a good Ukrainian accent.
Because he's like, you're missing some sort of pronunciation. You're like, what are you talking about, basically? So, yeah.
Yes.
Cool. And then you started Gidget PR like about a year and a half ago, almost a little over a year and a half ago, September of 2016. What inspired you to kind of start your own business?
One of your other guests was a huge inspiration, Kachita Hines. She started her own company when I first met her, and she was really pushing me towards it. I was doing consultant work, and I had clients saying, we would love to work with you, maybe not somebody else. And so I kind of just decided to jump in, and it's still terrifying to this day.
Yeah, it always is. Whether you're 1 year, 10 years, 15 years in, there's still some trepidation, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. And then let me think here. I was going to ask you another question. If you were going to summarize yourself in 30 seconds or less, how would you do that?
30 seconds or less. Are you going to time me?
Yes, the time starts right now.
I am a small town girl with a city heart, I feel like. No, I'm just somebody. I grew up with brothers, and so I never thought of anything as the big boys club. And so I kind of want to break those barriers, and that's, and bring my female friends with me.
Yes. That's a good summary.
Okay,
in less than 30 seconds. Are you youngest, middle child, oldest?
Youngest.
Okay.
3.5 older brothers.
Okay. All right. So that's good. You're the youngest, so you enjoyed that.
Yep.
Hopefully they didn't pick on you too much when you were growing up.
Oh, no, I was the princess.
All right. The only girl, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Tell us Stan Lee. How did you get the chance to work with Stan Lee, and what was it like?
I cried a little when I met him, for sure. It was amazing. I worked with Stan Lee's Kids Universe when I was at Dumont Marketing Group, and we went to Stan Lee's Comic-Con, Kamikaze, and he was in the waiting room, and he was so nice to everybody and said hi. When I left, I cried a little because I was so excited. But really, we were just helping with a book launch for the Kids Universe.
And which one of his, projects are some of your favorites? Because it's obvious you're a fan of his. So what are some of your favorite works by him?
I always always loved X-Men. I loved the 90s X-Men, though. That cartoon that was out. That was always my favorite. I always... what was the name? Sparkles came out of her hands.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I can't remember. I love that. I mean, I love kind of all of the movies now. I love Jessica Jones. I mean, he just always had, again, like strong female characters, and so that was always such an inspiration to me.
Right.
Because they just kicked, can I cuss?
Yes, you can
okay,
do what you like.
They kicked ass.
All right, cool.
Sure.
Cool. That's true. Thanks for asking. And then, since you've been an actress for, a good 8, 9, almost 10 years, for a long time, correct?
Well, I kind of stopped about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I still do projects if directors or casting directors ask me to.
Okay. So you're still kind of a working actress. We'll call you that.
Okay.
But you've seen the evolution of kind of how the modern day TV and film, where you mentioned Jessica Jones, like Netflix is almost getting a lot of the significantly more creative content and the more risky content, so to speak. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on how it's been from when you first started, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, to now? What's your thought on the evolution of kind of TV and film?
I love it. I love it because content creators can really put their stuff out there. They don't need someone to open the door for them. They can do it themselves. And so, and actually, I can say this now because I don't think this will be released this week, but Big Cop Productions, we actually have a web series coming out on Amazon's new content creator platform, which is Prime Video Direct.
Yes.
On March 21st.
Yes. Congratulations.
And so, thank you. And it's called Parked. And so, because of those platforms, it gives people who are, people like us, where it's like we want to write something, we want to work our asses off and get it out there. It gives us the platform to do it.
Good. Okay, well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Now, you're a creative person. When did you think that, okay, it's time for me to start my own company? I know you were kind of pushed, or Kashida kind of helped you out. When did you say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for it, and kind of leave the life of working for someone else and do your own thing?
I really officially thought about it, I think, in June 2016, a few months before, because, you don't want to leave everything right then and there. I kept getting clients referred to me, and I talked to my parents about it, and I said, I think I want to do this. And my dad, who I grew up with a military father who, to me, he's a kitten, but he's a strict man. And he was so excited for me. And he said, you're going to be one of the first Wilsons to ever own their own business. And I knew with, my dad telling me I should do it, it's like, okay, I have to just try it. And I knew worst comes to worst, I can just go back to working for somebody else.
This is true. Yeah. And then kind of to, piggyback on that, what do you think is important for creative professionals such as yourself, myself, to succeed in today's business environment?
Friends.
Okay, tell us more about that.
I really have had just the most amazing support system. I really could not have done anything without that support system. I mean, getting my logo created, getting my website up. When I say friends, it's probably mainly Kachita. But, really, it's the people around you asking for help. And when people ask me for help, I really do try to give whatever I can and just not being afraid to ask.
Yeah. Now, many people are afraid to ask for help. How did you maybe get through that fear and felt comfortable asking other people for help?
Interesting. I guess I've never really... I guess, I kind of just would ask and then feel nauseated afterwards.
Okay.
I feel like every single time I send a press release, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And then I'm just, you get a sick feeling for probably a few hours after.
Okay. But you did it.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so you started in 2016. I think it was maybe September, September 2016. After that point, when was the turning point when you realized, okay, this is working, like it's really, I really jumped in with both feet and this is like a legitimate thing? When was that turning point for you?
It's still turning.
Right.
I would say this month, March 2017, is the first time I actually feel like it can work.
Okay, 2018. You're a year
Oh,
behind.
I'm 2018.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So, okay,
See, I don't even know. I don't even know what day it is.
So tell us why, though.
Because I finally have enough clients that's paying for my living.
Okay, yeah. Keep it real.
And I feel like I have a better handle on it. I am at max. What would it be? I'm really accomplishing things at my max capacity. Max. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of understand it a little bit more, understand my limits as well, and understand what I'm comfortable with and not comfortable with when representing people.
All right. Good answer. Now tell us, why do you love what you do?
Why do I love what I do? I love what I do because it makes people so excited to get the word out, for their different projects. I mainly represent entertainment clients, people behind the scenes usually. And so for them, like, they've worked so hard that to finally get to the PR and marketing phase, it's there. Like, their baby's done and they're almost done in a sense. And so I love doing that. I love events. People are in such good moods at events. If the event is going terribly, people are in great moods because it's, it's fun to talk about how bad it is. And so that is something that I don't know. I like when people are in good moods, and I like that energy that comes with everything that I do.
Okay. And so what have been some of your most memorable, we'll say births, because you'd like it's a long labor. So what has been some of your most memorable projects so far that you've worked on and you just been like, wow, that happened. I'm so happy. I'm thrilled. Not that they're your favorite clients, but just some of the more maybe memorable ones.
I have two. Okay. I have one of them. It was this jewelry company in Uganda called Tribe and Glory. They are incredible. What they do is they employ the women from Uganda to help make the jewelry, and in return, they pay them, and they also teach them business acumen and help them grow and start their own company. So within 6 months, these women have already, supported their children, supported themselves, supported their husbands, and are starting their own companies with this jewelry company. And the jewelry is incredible. So that was really tough because they were in Uganda. And so I had to, have calls really early on in the morning. And then they did a launch here in LA, but I was so excited to be done with it because it was so stressful because they had such an amazing idea. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all on me. So that's been wonderful. And then another client that I just absolutely adored and was so thrilled to be able to work with was Buffer Festival, which is a huge digital content or online content festival, mainly for YouTubers. And there I got to go to Toronto. Prince Harry was staying in my hotel, so that was exciting.
Bonus.
Bonus. Then Obama, extra bonus. And they shut down half a block of Toronto for the red carpet, and just to be able to manage that red carpet and, walk 120 of YouTube's biggest stars and have, 25, I think, outlets there. It was thrilling, and it was stressful, but stressful in just the best kind of way. Right.
Now you work with a lot of, two of the projects you just mentioned, you work with a lot of different people, a lot of people in entertainment. In your opinion, what sets apart the most successful people you've met? Like, what characteristics do they have that are really common that help them continue to exceed their goals and achieve at a high level?
First of all, they're kind.
Good.
Yes. They're kind. Second of all, they're just really passionate about what they do. And they're willing to put in the work. They're willing to help me. They're willing to help them, which in turn, helps themselves. And, just the people who are, you can say hardworking, but you don't really know what that means. But I just really think the nicest people win.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that kind of gets glossed over nowadays with all the hustle and do that. We all have to hustle, we all have to work hard, but
right.
It's still got to be nice too because, you get more with honey than vinegar. Is that the saying? Or
yeah.
I forget the proper saying. Excuse me, Mom, but I'll get it right the next time. But I think that's paraphrasing it correctly.
Right.
Yes.
I think so too.
On the flip side, what is something that scares you?
Homelessness scares me.
Okay.
I have always thought that failure is when I'm not happy, and so that I I guess that I'm not hustling hard enough, that I say something wrong, that I do something wrong. Like, I think there's a lot that scares me, actually. And it's just getting through every single day, just saying it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you get through each day without, going crazy? Because the mind is a large rabbit hole. So how do you get through each day?
Friends and wine.
Red or white wine?
White wine.
Okay.
I think I'm allergic to red, so white wine.
Okay. So friends and wine. Okay. Yes. Now, you're the first PR person we've had on the show, so I'm very grateful. So thank you for being on the show. I love PR. I kind of came up through the sales and marketing in hotels and do a little PR myself. The industry is very crowded. So how do you rise above all the noise and distinguish yourself from the competition?
I do that by being as honest as possible. I've had a couple people that have reached out to me asking if I could do PR services for them. One was a legal service, and I took the call, and I gave them an hour of my time of saying what I think they could do and saying I also am not the person for you. I really think honesty sets me apart because in PR, people do they will claw their way to the top. And again, I don't think that's the right way to do it. I don't think misleading anyone that I'm going to represent is the right way to do it, because if I might not be able to represent them, who's to say they can't refer me to someone that I might be able to?
Okay. And then a lot of people kind of in the professional circles feel that PR is kind of going away with the onset of social media and people kind of managing their own PR efforts through Twitter and maybe, Facebook and things like that. What is your thoughts on that statement?
I think they could be right. Honestly, with social media, you get the right amount of clicks and views. You don't need PR. I think regardless, you always need someone who is kind of outside of it, who's allowed to be honest with you, who's allowed to say that doesn't work or that's boring or here's a new twist. It's always good to have an idea man, I think, with you. But I agree. There's, it's kind of the world where we can do whatever we want
right.
and do it all.
Yes. So how will you kind of thrive and survive in the industry as social media becomes more and more prominent?
Well, I do social media as well,
okay.
So that kind of helps. However, there's a part of me that does think it will die at some point. But that helps, and again, I'm just somebody who I really like to introduce people to other people, and so eventually, if it does die and they don't need me, I'll do something else.
All right, great. I love that. That's good. Now, how has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
First of all, I think failures are the best things because that's when you can shine. It really is. If you mess up or if someone else messes up, you really get the opportunity to pull through. And so there was this, I've thought about this, there was this, when I first started doing PR, I represented a comedian who had a book come out. And the other PR person, not someone on my own team, forgot to confirm the books for the book launch party. Mm-hmm. And she knew, and she's about to go do this whole show. Afterwards, we're supposed to sell books. We have about 1 hour to figure it out. And so I called, and this is not a big book where it's obviously at Barnes & Noble. So I called every bookstore within 5 miles, which in LA, 5 miles is 10 years away.
Yes.
Within 5 miles, put every book they had on hold, went around to them and bought them out. I think I found 25 books, got there about 5 minutes before she exited the show and just set all of them up on the table. And I was like, she's just going to think we have 100 now. I'm just going to make it, stack it, make it look like we did it. But that was something that, and then of course afterwards she was like, I don't know how you did that. I was like, I don't know either. I was at one point running. I forgot where I parked my car because I was so anxious. I was running through the Groves parking garage on every level. I had heels in hand and books in hand in a cocktail dress, just running back and forth.
Is there a video of this?
No. No. And if I didn't make it on time and I didn't find my car, I was just going to say I got a flat tire. Be like, it's over.
Okay, good story.
Yeah.
And so what did you learn? What did that kind of teach you?
You can't trust anybody. No. I think just to confirm with everybody, just double confirm. Even if you think that you're not in control of that part, when you do events especially, if you're not in control of that part, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that part is being taken care of.
Right. Now, being an actress and now you're a professional in the PR world, you have had your fair share of critics. How do you handle your critics?
It's really hard. Like I mentioned, I did Sandy in Greece. That's probably one of the biggest parts I did. And I didn't necessarily get the greatest reviews. And I would say, I probably, 7 years later, have finally not cared.
Okay.
I think it takes a long time. And granted, I was younger. So, when you're getting older, you just don't care anyways. But I think it's just one of those things where you're like, I have to move on, and I'm not their cup of tea, and what can I do? Right. I got a dream role that 1,000 other girls would have wanted, and it's whatever. They paid me.
Yes, it helped you get your next role.
Yes.
All right, good. Now, tell us about the darkest time of your life, how you got through that, and what did you learn from that experience?
I don't think I've necessarily had some horrible dark time in my life. I think questioning whether or not I wanted to get into PR and marketing and kind of stop acting is when I had a dark time, just because I really was going for my dreams with acting. I still miss it to this day, but it was hard. It was hard to give up something that for 15 years I really was going after to, be quote unquote more stable. And then of course I, started my own company. So that went out the window, but
a different kind of instability.
Yeah. But I think that was really hard. It was a lot of questions, but I think I've been very lucky with my life that I haven't had some horrible dark time yet. Okay. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Hope it never happens.
Yeah.
Now, when you were making the decision to kind of transition from acting to kind of getting out to the professional world, like that would be pretty hard because you probably grew up wanting to be an actress. You went to school for it. How did you make that decision? What went into your decision making to make the transition?
I think I always kind of knew that I would transition. A big thing they say when you're acting is if you could do anything else, do it, because it's such a hard career to do, or such a hard career to stay in. Not necessarily do, but stay in. It's vigorous, and so I think that I always kind of knew. I did. My father went through a stroke, and he's okay, but that also set it off where I was like, you know what? I want to see my family more. And I can't when I'm acting because I have to be available 24/7 because you never know when that next job is going to be or the next great audition is going to be. And so I knew that I was like, I want to see my family more because who knows how long I have for that.
Yeah, good. Very interesting. Now, growing up, who was the most influential person for you?
The most influential person for me? Can I say just both my parents?
Feel free. This is open mic.
My mom definitely was that person where she told me, she said, go after your dreams. You can always stop them whenever you want. You're never gonna regret going after them. And my dad, luckily, was that person who, when I was 14 years old, said I couldn't get a chorus part anymore because if I wasn't the lead in community theater, I wasn't a chorus girl on Broadway. So he was very business savvy and she was very, dream savvy, and they just really inspired me throughout and really pushed me.
Good. Now, when you were 21 years old, you were still in Chicago?
Yes.
So we're going to go back to 21-year-old Kelly,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to talk to 21-year-old Kelly. What advice would you give her knowing what you know now?
It's just don't worry as much. It was so stressful then, and I feel like it's one of those things where you always feel like you could probably hustle harder. I actually don't know if I could have hustled harder at that age. I'm still flabbergasted with the amount of energy I had then. But not to worry. I mean, especially because I was acting then, and it's like, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Okay. And nowadays, what do you do to kind of manage worrying and anxiety and things like that?
Oh, friends and wine.
Okay. There we go. That's a common theme today. All right.
No, I really believe in mantras. Am I saying that? I want to say mantra, but I think that's the Chicago pronunciation of it.
You can say it in your Chicago accent if you want.
But I really do believe in that. I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get this, and I'm worth it. Like, I do like saying that to myself, especially because we have so much time in the car here. But that positivity always helps, because when I'm negative, I feel like the negative energy is just taking over your brain and taking over your thoughts, and it's just it can be hard when that happens.
Okay. Now, tell us, who are some of like your favorite actors and actresses? Whose work do you really admire and like to see? Like, whenever something comes out by them, you have to go right away to see them in the theater, maybe at in the movie theater or the regular theater.
I love Reese Witherspoon. I love her, especially because she has created and produced her own work. And she recently gave this amazing speech saying how every single, a common theme in women's roles is they'll say, "What do we do now?" And she's like, have you ever met a woman who in a crisis asks, what do we do now? You've never met a woman that said that. And so I love what she's doing for the business for women. She's fabulous. Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like there's just a ton of women right now that are just amazing. I guess there's male actors too, huh?
We do have those too, yes.
Do we have that? I can't even think of any at the moment. I do love Jeff Goldblum, though, but that's just a side note. That's just my celebrity crush.
Okay. And then, what is the one lesson in life that took you the longest to learn?
I'm probably still learning it. I'm an opinionated person, and I really don't mind sharing my opinions, and sometimes you just need to shut up. And I'm still trying to learn that.
All right. Fair enough. That's a good answer. Sometimes you just have to be quiet and listen.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, every great person has a sentence. What is your sentence? For example, my sentence would be, I help people unlock their creativity by teaching them how to DJ. What is your sentence?
When one door closes, your publicist opens another.
Ooh, very good. Well played. I like that one. Good. Now, what is one new habit that you've added to your daily routine in the past year or so that has been most beneficial?
I would probably say the mantra again of if I really want something, or if I really want something to happen, just really putting it out there in the universe. Because again, I think especially in LA and especially in entertainment, it's so negative and it's so hard that if you're, constantly throwing out positive energy, then positiveness is going to come back to you.
Right. So we're really big readers, voracious readers here on the Amani Experience podcast. If there is 1, 2, or 3 books that you feel people should stop what they're doing and start to read them right away, what would it be? It can be just one book if you want.
Well, this wasn't going to be my first answer, but of course the Harry Potter series. If you haven't read those, stop and just go read them. They're incredible.
Agreed.
But one book that I just have loved and it's always stuck out to me is Super Sad True Love Story by Gary Shteyngart, or it's...
Okay, we'll put it in the show notes. Don't worry.
Okay. I just butchered that last name, but it is fascinating. It's fascinating. It's set in the future about a 40-ish-year-old man who writes in the style of a novel, and he's dating a girl who is like 20 years old, and she writes in short form, and it follows both of their stories and this super sad true love story. And it's fascinating because it's such a comment on our times and where it's going, and you see yourself where you're enjoying the novel side and how he writes because it's so beautiful. But then also I liked her side because I just got through it. You could just get going. And like she would do abbreviations that never even said what they were, but you just figured it out. Nice. So it's a fascinating story.
Okay, I have to check that out. Great recommendation. Cool. Anything else? Those two are really good.
Harry Potter again.
I have to admit that in 2017, last year, is the first time I ever read it. Read them all the way through. My favorite books I read the whole year. So I completely agree with you. I was late to the party, but I'm here at the party now.
There. Yeah, you arrived. It's all right.
Yes.
As long as you arrive, it's cool.
Yes, old Dumbledore. Yes. Yes. Now, I understand that you actually were a contestant on The Price is Right and you won. Is this true? Tell us about that.
Yes, I was. I won the whole thing.
Yes, you won the showcase as well?
I won the showcase.
Did you win both?
No. No. I was there for a bachelorette party. It was the last day of the bachelorette party. We were all so hungover that one of the girls didn't even make it. Oh. So I am terrible on the show. All the guesses are terrible. They even said my showcase guess might have been a record for of being how off I was. I was $15,000 under.
But
I still won because the other guy was $500 over.
Oh.
He wouldn't even look at me afterwards. It was so sad. And for me, I knew, because again, I grew up with my dad who's like super business and we'd watch game shows. And he's like, you don't want to win it. You don't want to pay the taxes on it. And so the whole time, I'm like, I don't need to pay the taxes on any of this. I don't need this. I have a car. I'm good. And then I want a car. I want a trip to Japan. And I'll tell you right now, you don't want to pay the taxes on it. He has been right this whole time.
Oh, but do you still have the car or no?
I do.
Oh, nice.
I do. I sold my other car.
And the trip to Japan. Now, when you were rolling the wheel, what was your total number when you rolled the wheel?
I got 85 cents.
Nice.
And so the woman before me, this whole time, I was just happy I was picked and wanted to go home. The woman before me rolled 80 cents. And I was like, great. I get to go sit down now. This is fabulous. And I spun it and I rolled 85 cents.
Now, Drew Carey was the host when you were on?
Yes.
Okay. So I grew up, like I said, in the summer times, I used to live in St. Louis. And so my grandma, we would always watch The Price is Right back when Bob Barker was the host. So I grew up on the show. So for you to be a contestant and win, that like blows my mind.
Oh, I grew up on it too.
Yes.
I mean, when I called my family and told them I called my parents, I think my mom just screamed. She's like, oh my God. She's just screaming.
Yes.
It's still unreal to me. But it does make, like, the question, tell us the most interesting thing about yourself. Like, it makes it really easy.
Yeah.
Because it's just, of course I can say that.
Of course. And I waited till the end of the show to kind of bring that up because, it's got such a great story. We have to, lead that in. We got to build up to that. What was the game that you played for you to win to get to the showcase? Was it Plinko? That's one of the favorite games.
No, I wish. Mine was nothing. I was the first person. So I was first person called. And actually what's more interesting, I think, is you really can't hear anything. So when you're called, they hold up a sign with your name on it because you can't hear anything.
Okay.
Everyone is screaming. I didn't even really know what I was betting on when, during the showcase, because you can't see, you can't hear. Everyone's screaming at you, and so the game I played was just these three numbers, and I had to guess between two for each for a surfboard. And I didn't get that. That was going to be a trip to Costa Rica. I was guessing on surfboards, and I didn't get it because the last number was 9 or 0, and I went with 9.
And it was 0.
Because it's,
right.
That's a 50-50 right there for real.
Right. Wow. Amazing stories. So, how can people find you online?
How you can find me online. Gidgetpr.com. Gidget like the TV show or the Sandra Dee movie. Facebook, GidgetPR. Instagram, GidgetPR, and then Twitter is GidgetPR1.
Nice. Okay, good. So that's how we'll find you online. So before we kind of end off the show, I just want to say thank you for appearing on the show. It's been a pleasure. You have a great sense of humor. I love how you've gone from acting to then starting your own business, and you continue to thrive. So keep it up. Look forward to work with you in the future. I'm glad that, we were connected by Kachita, so keep that up. And then we let people in the show, our guests, with a little bit of advice. So we're going to let you kind of take us home. Just thanks again, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. So I was like, oh, so I give the advice.
Yes.
I think kindness. Kindness will get you everywhere. It really, really, really will. If you stay kind, people will open the doors for you, or they'll just already be open.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Amani Experience podcast. You can check out the show notes on amaniexperience.com/podcast. Please remember to leave us a review on the platform you are listening on, and share this podcast with anyone who you feel would benefit from listening. See you soon on our next episode.